Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners. This is Comeza Radio Africa, the voice of Comeza, the organization everybody wants to be associated with. The mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. That is our philosophy. We inform and entertain. We develop and educate. We empower and support. We associate and network. That is the idea. We are a business and professional management services 24/7 internet streaming radio station. We broadcast 50% of music and 50% of talk shows. Our objective is to use the African storytelling and Lekgotla conversation methodology in offering career coaching, education and learning guidance, continuous professional development, enterprise and entrepreneurship development, and connecting supply to demand. Our talk shows aim to affirm and support business professionals and entrepreneurs in their personal and professional journey of bringing difference to the world. My name is Sam Zima. I am the CEO and the Executive Business Coach at Comeza GOC International. You can check our website, which is www.comeza-goc.com. You are also invited to consider joining us either as an individual or corporate member at Comeza Friends and Supporters Club, NPO, and become part of this movement of honoring our entrepreneurs and professionals. That can be done online at www.comezaclub.africa. You may send us email at Comeza, which is at this address, callcenter@comeza-goc.com. Our guest at this moment is Ingrid Skhosana. Greetings, my sister. Are you there?
Hi, Mr. Sima. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's an honor. It's an honor. I'm really excited about the conversations we're going to have today.
Absolutely. We are going to have a conversation the Lekgotla way, the African way.
Yes.
It's not an interview.
No, definitely not an interview. Those are very stifling, and I want to have a conversation where I will be able to gain from you and your listeners also gain from me, so that we keep on educating each other and other people that are listening today.
Absolutely. And I like that aspect of our work, which is educating and informing, because we're not only speaking to South Africans, we're speaking to other people in the continent, we're speaking to other people in other parts of the world who might be very interested and curious to know about this African Lekgotla way of conversation, which, according to me, for the benefit of the people in other countries, this is very similar to the famous Nancy Klein's Time to Think methodology, which basically is about creating space for each one of us to express themselves without any restriction.
That is so true. That is so true, especially considering the pandemic that we're all experiencing. It's not just South Africa, but it's the whole world. So it really helps to know and to interact with the whole world in finding out solutions that we can use in our own backgrounds, to make better choices regarding this pandemic that we find ourselves in.
Absolutely. This is the time, I'm glad you mentioned that, this is the time to really listen to our minds and guide our thoughts and really be positive about the future. We human beings are able to survive anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Beautiful.
True.
Beautiful. Let's fasten the seat belts, my sister, because we are about to take off. How is
Fantastic. Yes. I'm ready.
that? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You have your cup of tea, coffee, water to sort of like...
I've got my robot tea and I've got a glass of water and I'm sitting very comfortably, so yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's tell our listeners who Ingrid Skhosana is. I think in the African tradition, when you say your name is Ingrid Skhosana, you haven't spoken.
No, you haven't at all. I mean, in an African culture, when you introduce yourself, you speak about your father, your forefathers. You speak about your whole clan.
Your lineage.
Your lineage, of course. So you can't just say that I'm Ingrid Skhosana and that is it about you. You need to know where you're from and how you came about to be the person that you are today.
And why they called you, and why they called you who they call you.
Exactly. So in saying that, yes, my name is Ingrid Skhosana. I am the daughter of Peter and Hopoto Skhosana. Those are my parents. I am the eldest of 2 kids. I've got a younger sister. Her name is Pindile, and she's 31 years old. So I'm sure that gives away my age.
Yeah.
I am also a mother to a beautiful and charismatic 6-year-old girl. Her name is Leto Gushe. I was born in Gauteng, in Ekurhuleni, in Guatemala, to be specific.
Guatemala Springs.
Guatemala Springs, yes, that's where I was born.
Are you related to the late Tsipa?
You know, very funny story. Every time when I tell people that I'm from Guatemala and my surname is Skhosana, that is the first question. They ask, are you related to Tsipa Skhosana? And I'm like, we lived in the same neighborhood, but we are not related.
What a beautiful boxer, the legend.
He was fantastic from the stories that I've heard.
Yeah.
And because we lived in the same neighborhood, I would see him. You know, obviously he had retired. So because they lived a street away from me, sometimes he would hold the workshops talking about boxing and just sharing his life story. So as kids, we found it very fascinating, you know, especially growing up under apartheid, and the stories that he had to share were very fascinating.
You know, the townships in South Africa in those years were the theaters. You know, they were the places of entertainment. When we talk about Guatemala Springs, we think of the late Tsipa Skhosana, we think of Pilkington United Brothers, we think of the Pozozo Tinitlatla, you know, those people played. So, I mean, I'm just bringing old memories for those who are old enough to remember those days. So there is the tradition, there's a culture in these townships and villages. So tell us, you yourself growing up in Guatemala, what stands out? What do you used to do as a young someone growing up in Guatemala Springs?
I was very active growing up. I excelled in netball. I excelled in athletics, and my parents were very supportive. I mean, they took me to all my games. They were there. They were the first faces I would see on the grandstands, whether I had lost a game or won a game. They were very, very comforting, and they would cheer me on. And we moved quite a bit, but within Ekurhuleni, my dad was a successful entrepreneur. He came from a family of entrepreneurs. He ran supermarkets, fish and chips outlets, and he was amongst the first group of people that started the container public phones. I don't know if you remember them.
Yes.
Late back in the 90s. I was exposed to the entrepreneurial life at an early age, about 10 years of age. And my dad would take me to work with him on weekends. I saw how he ran his businesses. I saw how he interacted with his customers. I saw how he dealt with chancellors that were trying to rob him. That's when the seed was planted in me. But I suppose what stands out for me the most is definitely my sporting achievements. I was a force, I tell you.
Yes.
And I was known for that, and I was very proud of myself because it really gave me confidence. It really boosted my confidence because I was very insecure growing up. I was pretty average academically, so focusing on sports was a strategy to help me excel in something that I was good in.
And the sporting codes, which sporting codes did you participate in?
I was an athlete. I ran 100 meters and the 200 meters, and I also played netball provincially.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful to hear. And your parents, are they still alive?
Both my parents are still alive. My dad did not continue with his businesses. I suppose because, when you grow up, the face of entrepreneurship changes. It evolves. And staying in the townships, you find that people that used to own supermarkets, they found themselves in a challenge where now the supermarkets no longer in business, not making money because of the way the business is moving. You find a lot of the foreign tuck shops, the foreigners that come in and have tuck shops where they've been able to create a demand and work in an evolutionary way to make sure that they make profit. So that put a lot of the township supermarkets out of business. So my dad retired. My mom has always been a homemaker. I don't want to say a stay-at-home mother or a housewife. She's been a homemaker all my life. Even this day, when we think about, like we talk about it with my siblings, that if anything, with God forbid, my mother passes on, it would be very difficult for us because she has been the salt in our home. Without her, we really like, she would sometimes, you find that she would go and visit her sisters for a weekend. That weekend, like, she would come back and everybody missing her as if she had been gone for weeks, because she's the glue that keeps the family together. And our African mothers, that's the role that they played. They are the salt, and they're able to make sure that the home is sustained in the way that your salary does not sustain a home. That's why we find gogos that raise generations.
Are you there? Yeah, we lost there a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
I'm back with you. Yes, you were just telling us the story about the role that your mom played and African women in general as mothers.
Yes. Yes. So I'm quite blessed that I still have my mom and my dad living, because they play a huge role in my life currently, and the reason why I have chosen to be in the space that I'm in today is because of their influence. Part of it is because of their influence.
And that is the entrepreneurship space.
That is the entrepreneurship space. Like I said, that we've always been entrepreneurial at home. My dad comes from an entrepreneurial family background, so that for me was the seed that led me to this path. Wonderful.
It's very good to know that there are people like yourself that grow up with entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is not something that you fear, because some people really do fear it.
Yes,
and we are going to unpack it when we come to that episode where we want to talk about the type of business that you do. But I just want to ask this specific question. Then when you were just helping, right? In the shops. Or you were just helping dad and mom with their businesses. Then, according to you were just helping. Do Did you ever think that one day you will be the one doing what they are doing?
Just to take you back a bit, when my dad started taking me with him to work, for me, he would tell me why. I mean, he would explain that I want to teach you how to do business. I don't want you just to focus on having a professional career. I want you to learn that in this world you need to have options. If you're not good in this, find other options. Learn to use your hands. So he was actually giving me that opportunity to learn. And I remember at some point I used to hate it. Mr. Zimmer, because
we lost you again. Look, that's common. Don't be worried. It's very common when we do the recording using the mobile phone, because sometimes the network challenges. It's part of the conversation. It's a modern way of conversing at a distance.
Okay, no worries, because I really thought it was coming from my side. I'm starting to get worried there.
Yeah, no, it is between you and I. It's somewhere in the middle.
So I was explaining that going to the shops with my dad, at some point I did not like it. I did not enjoy it, because it would take away a lot of my playtime with my friends, and I did not see the value. I did not even see what he was trying to teach me at the time. Until a couple of years later, obviously, when I started thinking about ways in which I would have improved my dad's shops, and I realized that, this is what this man was trying to teach me all along.
Wonderful. That is quite always a challenging thing for parents, because they know exactly why they teach you what they teach you, but sometimes they lack ways and ways of making you see a bigger picture. But it's wonderful when later in your life you are able to actually to connect, isn't it?
Yes, true. You made a connection once. You make a connection later in life, when you look back at how they played a part in your life, and how the business teachings actually are relevant to what you're doing today. Maybe different, but the foundation has always been there.
And tell me, in those days, in terms of community participation, obviously people who run businesses in the villages or townships, they are always classified in a particular category. And sometimes that can make it very difficult for their children to be part of community activities, the things that other children do. But in your case, you say that sport was actually something that you did, and that, I guess, is what made you be part of the community, right?
Yes. I was, because I did not take part in a lot of community activities. I was not known. My dad was known because he was the character, the big character in my life then. But as the children, I had to find my own way in which I actually found value to contribute to my community, to be known. So because I excelled in it, that's where I decided to focus. And the business side of it, especially the business side of it, I really want to talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
Back then, business was not business as usual, especially in townships, because like you mentioned, there's a lot of forums. So my dad also was part of a forum, and it was also very political.
Yes.
So he did not want us to get involved in it so much, because of the political affiliation that was part of it. It was not cut and paste business. There was just a lot of unethical business practices that some other people practiced. There was also violence. So that's why he kept us away from forming, to become part of that society. But all he wanted us to do was to learn how to run the family businesses, but not become part of how the society handles the local businesses.
And tell me, is it only two of you, the sisters, or did you have brothers?
It's just two of us at home. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's just girls. We did not have boys. And I think that's another reason why my dad wanted us to be so involved. I know that he would have loved to have a son, just to pass on the whole legacy. But it was just girls. But we had to get involved, especially me as being the firstborn child. I had to be at the forefront of the family business.
And is the sister also very much entrepreneurial like you?
Not at all.
How did she escape the bug?
I think because she was much younger, they let it go. And just took it that because you have an older sister who is much more responsible, you know what, you can focus on academics, because she took a particular liking in academics and I did not. So maybe that's why they try to have it both ways. One who's academically not challenged and one who is more entrepreneurial focused.
It is very interesting. I can relate to what you are saying, because if, in the African tradition, a boy child almost become the partner to the father, and they take care of the things of the home, and the girls work with the mother, which is not really how it's supposed to be, but that's traditionally how it was. Yes, I was saying that, if there is no boy in the house, unfortunately or fortunately, the firstborn girl child in our tradition get to be put through the rigor that the boy child will be put through.
True.
And I'm not surprised that you became more doing person early, and your sister became an academic, because you had to respond to both. And I'm sure your mom didn't let go of you either. You also had to be good with her on other domestic type of work that were then perceived to be girls' duties.
Oh yes, obviously, you had to create a balance at an early age, because you have responsibilities based on you being a girl, and also being a firstborn, trying to make sure that whatever business structure that the family has created, we're trying to take it forward. So at a young age, you learn responsibility, you learn how to navigate, you learn how to find balance. That hence my childhood, I never spent it playing with friends on weekends or going to movies. I did that now and then, but mostly on weekends I was working.
Yeah, wow. I love this because I have worked very closely with the German system, and they have this approach of dual training where you learn both theory of business and the practice of business, and I'm sure the fact that you had to be more doing, it doesn't mean that you are not applying your mind to the theory of business, right?
Yes,
definitely. And then sometimes learning by doing is the most effective way when it comes to business. And one of the reasons why the German economy is so robust is because that aspect is never left behind. You don't go to school and finish and only then get to know how to run business. You do both of those.
That is actually quite true. I mean, in my youth days, just to backtrack a bit, I was a rebel, against injustice. I didn't speak much. I spoke only when it mattered. But when I would argue with my teachers regarding racism in schools, I never accepted the status quo as it was. I always questioned things, especially when I felt that it was racially motivated. In the community, I would also seek out families that were disadvantaged to assist. I remember there was a granny that lived close to my house. She was very poor. My friends and I would go to that granny's house now and then to clean her house, to cook with food that we stole from home. And that actually influenced a lot of my choices based on doing and not necessarily the theory. The theory came at a later stage, but I found myself that after I matriculated, I was not even sure what I wanted to study, because all I wanted to do was to be in business. But I was not sure what type of business I wanted to do. So I took a gap year because my parents at the time, unfortunately, did not have enough money to take me to school. So I went to live with my uncle in Pretoria. He was a dentist. He ran a few dental practices. So I helped him to manage those businesses. And to say it, I learned a lot from him. He was very consistent in the way that he manages businesses. He had a very good relationship with people. And I wanted to be like him because in my eyes, he was successful. He was young and black and successful. And that is the picture of success. There was a picture of success for me, besides the picture that I would see and admire in magazines. Abu Mam, Wendy Luhabe, Precious Muloy Mutsepe, Basitana Kumalo. I admired them from magazines, but I was grateful that I had a living mentor and a role model that I lived with, somebody who instilled business practices way after my dad's businesses fell apart. So that for me helped me into developing and harnessing my entrepreneurial journey as well. And I think the education part for me came at a later stage because everybody's journey is different. Some start with the theory behind it, and some start with the practical. So for me, the practical came first before I joined it with the theory of working and running a business.
Beautiful. You are a living example of what we call early start in entrepreneurship, even though it was not designed, it just happened. And I wonder if we were to be intentional about it in our design of our education system to say that every young person in South Africa, before they could even decide what they're going to study post-matric, they will be introduced to some sort of entrepreneurship or some sort of doing in whatever form.
That is so true because when I was actually thinking about it, not necessarily thinking about it, we were in a workshop, an entrepreneurial workshop last year, November, and I did mention that, I have a daughter and I'm trying to create a legacy for her. And it would make me very happy for her to do exactly what I did. Even though with me, it was not intentional. I really wanted to go to school because for me, that was all I knew. After primary school, it's high school, then tertiary. That is the route, and that was the path that I had chosen then. But because of financial constraints, I couldn't. So this was in the entrepreneurial business came through. But it would make a lot of difference if our children, after matric, they go even during the matric years, find a vocation where they would learn business skills. The following year, instead of choosing a career that you want to focus on, venture into entrepreneurship and find out if maybe it's not something that you want to do. Instead of that being something that is forced upon you because you can't get a job. Because I don't feel that everybody is an entrepreneur. And once you go into entrepreneurship, because you cannot find a job, it's going to be very, very difficult for you.
Absolutely. Let's hold it there. When I come back, we're going to plug into some few holes that I've picked up in your introductory episode because I wouldn't want to leave part of your story behind. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.